The Hengaw Human Rights Organization has obtained shocking evidence regarding the torture of detainees, especially young people arrested during the nationwide protests of Day 1404, December 2025 to January 2026. The findings indicate the use of female interrogators to psychologically break young male detainees during interrogations, the serious use of sexual violence against female detainees, threats of staged executions, and the rapid issuance of death sentences. Through interviews with several recent detainees, Hengaw has gathered disturbing details about detention conditions. The testimonies describe new methods used to extract quick confessions and to conduct field trials without due legal process, aimed at swiftly suppressing protests. The detainees interviewed were between 18 and 32 years old, of different genders, from different cities, and held in different detention centers. None of them knew each other. Nevertheless, their accounts of pressure, death threats, threats of execution, and severe sexual and psychological violence to force confessions are strikingly consistent. Hengaw found that some detainees were held in military centers, while others were detained and interrogated in residential houses. Several young male detainees reported the presence of female interrogators alongside male ones, and severe psychological and sexual torture inflicted by these female interrogators, something Hengaw considers a new form of extreme torture during interrogations. These interrogations were generally used to obtain televised and written confessions to the most serious charges and to build security cases related to the recent protests. Witnesses said that in many cases they were not released until they confessed. One young male witness told Hengaw, "The first 2 or 3 days were just searches and collecting information. Then the number of detainees was reduced to about a third. I had two interrogators, one woman and one man. The man played the good cop and the woman the bad cop. They pressured me to say I had a firearm. Sometimes they pointed a gun at my forehead and said they would shoot. They said I had to confess to receiving money from foreign intelligence services." He described severe abuse by the female interrogator. "One day I was forced to lie on the floor for hours, maybe 7 hours, and was interrogated in that position. She pressured me to insult those killed in the protests. I feel very ashamed of that. They were completely trained to inflict severe psychological harm. I endured all the torture, but the psychological pressure to insult the dead made life unbearable. They showed me photos of the bodies and said this would be my fate if I didn't confess. She poured hot tea on me, spat in my face while I was lying down, and put her foot on my face. They treated us like slaves. Before my release, they forced me to thank that female torturer." Another witness, a 19-year-old man, said, "We were held in a large residential detention place. Men and women were separated. They even separated us by age and moved the teenagers elsewhere. I had 3 interrogators, 2 men and 1 woman. The woman was extremely cruel. They constantly told me they would kill me. They even said they had informed my family of my death. I'm very ashamed to say this, but she put her sock in my mouth and told me to insult the dead. I became so distressed I wanted to end my life. They treated us like animals. They put a noose around my neck and said they would execute me." Through multiple interviews, Hengaw concluded that during the January protest arrests, the Islamic Republic used field trials to extract forced confessions and issue rapid sentences. Most detainees said they were subjected to severe sexual, physical, and psychological pressure to record written and video confessions against themselves, and in some cases were summoned to court within days. In threatening statements on Friday, 19 Day, Iranian authorities had declared they would treat protesters as mohareb, those who wage war against God, terrorists, and spies of foreign enemies, and would handle their cases swiftly. Several detainees told Hengaw that in their confessions they had to claim they used drugs or received money or assignments from foreign intelligence services, parties, Mossad, or overseas media. Another witness, a 32-year-old woman, said, They came in with ropes, drills, and hooks, pointed to the ceiling, and said they would execute us. They told me I worked with Mossad and that I had taken money from Kurdish parties. They tried hard to connect me to outside forces. They poured cold water on me and used a lot of sexual torture. I constantly heard the screams of people being tortured. Even a 12-year-old child was among the detainees. There were so many people we couldn't stretch our legs. Hengaw reports that after arrest, detainees were immediately checked for mobile phones. If they had phones, interrogators searched for protest videos. Those without phones were quickly sent to Revolutionary Court, but those with phones and footage were held in official and unofficial detention centers, interrogated, and severely tortured to obtain confessions. All detainees interviewed by Hengaw were eventually released after days or weeks of torture and confessions, upon posting heavy bail. Some said their court hearings would soon take place. Others reported that their mobile phones had been confiscated and not returned. Another 22-year-old male detainee said, I was held in a residential house. I don't know who my interrogators were. They beat me a lot and threatened me. But what hurt me the most was the female interrogator who sexually tortured me. She forced me to kiss her feet. She humiliated me and used severe insults. Many times she made me kiss her feet. They even pulled down my pants and threatened rape. Some detainees told Hengaw that before sharing their experiences, they had considered ending their lives. The Hengaw Human Rights Organization warned about widespread sexual violence during this wave of arrests and assessed the psychological condition of detainees as critical. It called on Iranian civil society and the international community to urgently ensure safe psychological support for these detainees. According to Hengaw's findings, during the January 1404 protests, the Islamic Republic carried out mass arrests and extrajudicial practices, even beyond its own judicial system, using maximum forms of torture in detention centers whose locations are sometimes unknown, where interrogators and agents enjoy legal immunity. Based on statistics compiled by Hengaw, more than 40,000 citizens have been arrested across various cities since the start of the recent nationwide protests. Hengaw has verified the identities of 2,500 of them, including 186 women and 218 children under 18. It has also verified 1,270 protester deaths, including 125 women and 93 children under 18. Hengaw warned about the lack of transparency in the Iranian judiciary regarding the number, names, and locations of detainees, the use of physical, psychological, and sexual torture to break mostly young and inexperienced protesters, and pressure on families to remain silent. It urged families and friends of detainees to report arrests to human rights organizations.